Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the P-LotPodcast. Back again on a Saturday morning. Well, yeah, it's still Saturday morning. John here, joined once again by the main man himself, Michael. How we doing, man? A little
We're
nervy.
good, man. We are fired up. We are nervous. We're excited. Obviously, we have a lot to talk about today, but full transparency, the brain is fully on baseball mode right now. So, like, when we're going to talk about the picks, we're not probably going to go as in depth as we usually do, as there are bigger things at stake here today than making sure we accurately predict spreads for tomorrow's games. You know what I'm saying? So.
Yeah, especially when we got a less than stellar week, to put it mildly, I would
Yeah, some
say.
injuries have really taken some of the luster out of some of the games, and just some teams not playing as well.
Right. Well, this is our first week of the buys. We have bye weeks.
We have bye weeks, yes.
I like to congratulate myself when I picked Bijan Robinson first overall. One of the factors that played into that, Michael, was that his bye week is week 5, so I can get that out of the way early.
You get
And
those fantasy playoffs for sure.
yes, so yeah, man. Let's actually we're gonna do baseball last today because listen, this is more important than baseball. This is way more important right now to us, and I think a lot of people listen to our show than picking spreads. And blasphemy! Eagles Week 5 game against the Denver Broncos. We're gonna still talk
Yes.
about that, but we're gonna save baseball for last. But before we talk about the picks, we gotta talk about this Thursday night game. Sparked a spiritual debate. I don't know if it was spiritual. Michael and I were debating uh, the merits of the Rams head coach Sean McVay. But in case you live under a rock, the San Francisco 49ers pulled up probably one of the more bigger upsets that we've seen this year.
Easily. Yeah, probably the
Easily
biggest
with
one.
their hospital squad
Yeah,
against
I mean, no Brock Purdy, obviously, no Kittle, no Jawan Jennings,
no
no
Pearsall,
Brandon Ayuk, no Ricky Pearsall. It was truly
no
like
Nick Bosa.
no Nick Bosa. There are other injuries as well that we're not counting on. It was
Starting
about
left
as
guard
much
was hurt.
like it was like 2019 Eagles receiver room level of bad. Like Kendrick Bourne, number one wideout, had a crazy day. Mac Jones. They had a connection back in New England, so it felt like 2021 to some. Um, Christian McCaffrey's on pace for like 130 catches and like 1,400 receiving yards, and he's only on pace for like 900 rushing yards. So yeah, pretty funny
And the Niners
season.
have yet to
McCaffrey's
report a
happening.
rushing touchdown.
Yeah, I mean, see, the Niners, Mac Jones threw the ball 49 times, and it's like um his A dot average depth of target was not very high. I had it up and it went away. Let me pull it up real quick. Um, what are we looking at here? SFLA. Yeah, I mean, he threw the ball 49 times and his average depth of target was 6 yards. It's truly like not
You
that
know
it's
what's
awful,
missing.
but
You know what's missing on that A dot though is the fact that the Rams defense was playing very close to the line of scrimmage. So a lot of those short throws that he was making, you're like, what a loser, John. He's making all these short throws. He was hitting on all of them too. Like
no,
they were
no, John, it
successful
was it was
throws.
yeah, this is less clowning and more like it was a Shanahan masterclass is what it was. Like he really, really cooked up. Like these are the games that excuse me, that these sort of like guru genius quarterbacks like dream of. They love the uh you know, zero expectations, everyone's out. It's like this is full bag work now. Like I am digging deep into my bag and pulling out all the easy button efficient plays that I could possibly think of, and the easiest, like, just purely based off elite route combinations and motions and some misdirection. And listen, it worked. The Niners offense was very, very successful against what's a pretty solid Rams defense. And like Mac Jones got hurt in this game, came back in and still played well. Yeah, it's a really bad loss for the Rams. You know, we know the Rams struggle against the 49ers for whatever reason. But it's a real bad loss. Obviously, you'd wish your defense played better against this, you know, um, like scab team that the Niners were rolling out. But they're while their defense didn't play great, I mean, they had the game won, but unfortunately, Kyron Williams fumbles right on the goal line, ready to put the go-ahead touchdown in the end zone. He has it's one of the few running backs I've ever seen that is like actually anti-clutch, like or like a choker. Yeah, it's very rare to call running backs chokers. You can see it with receivers if they drop passes in big games. Obviously, quarterbacks get the mantra all the time, but running backs, it's usually harder to kind of isolate them in a big game like that. And when you're fumbling the touchdown away to end the game, like it's just so bad. And it's so bad because his previous runs in that same drive, he's two hands on the ball, like super tight, holding it to his chest, not fighting off with his arms, like really being certain. And then as soon as you get to that end zone, he's reaching a little bit and it gets punched straight out. And it's a really, really tough loss. For what I thought for what I thought the Rams offense played like mostly pretty well, and just some killer turnovers, that and then obviously the fourth down play in overtime that cost them.
Yeah, I would say though, I'm not like a huge Kyron Williams fan, but it did look on the replay like he got punched in the head, then the ball got punched loose.
I mean, sure, and I
But
get
but
that,
you
but
are
it's still
correct,
you
Mike.
can't
But you are
fumble,
Michael. You are absolutely correct. He has obviously fumbled a lot in those big spots previously, where he was not punched in the head.
I mean, John, if
So,
he doesn't, you know, fumble multiple times against the Eagles, you probably lose, Like, one of them was simply he recovered it, but it was like it killed the whole drive, forced him to kick a field goal, and then the other one obviously led to a field goal for the Eagles. So,
well, the
you know
first game, I don't think the first Rams game where he fumbled, they were
I'm
going
talking
into
about the
score.
snow. I'm talking
The
about the
snow
snow.
game,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, exactly. He had 3 fumbles against the Eagles last year in 2 games that effectively, costed them almost both games pretty much
I
exclusively.
find it funny though. I went out Thursday night after work with
Mhm,
my buddies to watch the first half at a at uh, B Dubs,
mhm.
and my one buddy was like, "Man, I just hate the Niners. I hate their whining. I hate them so much." And I said, I said, you know what? I would normally agree with you on that. I said, but the Rams fans, talking constant smack, saying just really out of pocket things about some of our players. And
Sure.
then watching the last 2 weeks where they needed Adonai Mitchell to commit one of the biggest, like probably the biggest goof of the season, you know?
Mhm. Yeah,
And
one of the
then
dumber, yeah.
Kyron Williams fumbling, like real like, and then seeing them like do a 180 on their team where they're like, oh, Kyron's like, he's like, Kyron hates he's like, oh, Kyron, first he was interviewed, oh, I hate the Eagles. And they're like, yeah, Kyron, yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
now I'm seeing them repost that, and they're like, "Yeah, that you have this energy in the presser. Why don't we take it to the field?" Which is true. I mean, the Rams are such an enigma to me because, like, I do think McVay's a very good coach. While I do think he's still, like, growing pains his aggressiveness, where, like,
Oh, Pants, he's been coaching a head coach since
I know.
2017.
It's just so weird to me that the Shanahan tree has that gene of, like, scaredness. Like, they're not afraid to do anything throughout the course of a game, like, play calling wise, and then when it comes to a 4th down, it's like they get so tight, they all do it, and it's like, "Okay, he's going for it, great decision, I think. You don't wanna play for the tie, you wanna go for the win." And it's like, let's not put the ball in the hands of Matthew Stafford, who's been playing out of his mind this game, and Puka's having another one of those crazy games, and like Devontae Adams has been making big catches, and like you're the Rams are like experts at drawing up plays that get very open, like 1 yard down the field. They're so good at it. It's usually results in yak, but it's like all you gotta do is get a yard, and and again, it's not to say that Kyron Williams blows, but it's like it was kind of a telegraphed run that you were relying on two wide receivers to make key blocks to convert the first down, and it doesn't happen. And it's so strange to me because you look at the Rams and they are well coached. You know, McVay is a good coach. They do well there. They have a great quarterback. They have two very, very, very good receivers, one of which could be the best in the game at the moment. They do have a good running back and a good running game to boot. Their pass rush is elite, and their secondary and linebackers are a little weaker, but their pass rush and D line is so good that it usually does a good job to mask it. So like all that is the makings of what should be a great team, and honestly, what will still be a really good team. But then you look at the weeks, like you said, John. They're Adonai Mitchell double brain fart away from losing to the Colts at home. They lose the way they did on Thursday. Some bad luck going against them, losing to the Eagles with multiple block kicks. But it's like they're just such a strange team that for
I
whatever
don't think it's
reason,
strange at all because I'll tell you what I think. This is Sean McVay's issue. Sean McVay is basically if Andy Reid won that Super Bowl in 2004, and now you're in like the subsequent years of a lot of their issues, like a lot of the Rams' issues, Michael, I think stem from Sean McVay being very overcomplicated in simple situations, and he overthinks and then makes a really obvious decision or plays it safe, plays it by the book, and it results in what you're kind of seeing though, man. Like you look at like Sean McVay's play calls. They take like 10, 15 seconds to call.
sure.
And what happens at the end of games when you're trying what you see what happens a lot at end of games. They just
I mean,
crap themselves
they used to like blow teams out, like when McVay first got there and stuff. But it's like
because
they
people
sh-
figured out his offense. They figured out
they
ways to
I
slow
mean
it
they didn't
down.
figure it out. It's just like because it still works, but they just like remember last year when they lost 41-10 to the Cardinals, like week two
Yeah.
of last year, and they started 0-2 because they had that really tough loss to the Lions, and then they got blown out by the Cardinals, and then they lost that game to the Bears, and they were 1-4 last year. What? They're so weird. They're so weird. And then they win a bunch of close games the rest of the year, and we're the Eagles' biggest challenge in the playoffs. It's strange team because they do have a lot of talent. I still think they're well
Well, no,
coached. It's just
no. I just think that's their issue. I think their issue is I think it's preparation from the perspective of obviously big time film team. Getting like you said, like like I don't think McVay's offense is innovative because what is it innovative to have Puka Nakua go in motion and target a weaker defender? No, that's
well,
like
when you
obvious.
look at
No,
what
that's like
our what we
obvious.
do,
Well, no, that's different because we'll get to that. But you see other teams do it. It's just that Puka Nakua is just that great. But,
sure. I mean, you don't
but at the same
gotta
point, Puka
remake the
Nakua had
wheel.
2 catches in the first half. Big reason being was because the Niners, because Robert Saleh, not a good head coach, amazing defensive coordinator. That's another thing too, because Kyle Shanahan gets a lot of the credit for Thursday night. Robert Saleh deserves a ton of credit, Michael, because one, that defense on paper entering the season didn't look all that great to begin with,
Yeah, and they're super injured and
and they're
stuff. So
super
yeah,
injured.
no,
Like
they held their own. They hung around. So no, for
you know,
sure.
so
Yeah. All right.
but I think though with McVay, I think he's a good coach. I'm not saying he's a bad like not saying he's a bad coach, but if you look at his Super Bowl, the game against the Bucks, they almost blew it.
It did.
You know,
I mean, that was like Brady peak. BS going on. Like,
Right.
I
Well,
mean, who
yeah,
fumbled
but
there? Was that what was it? Cam Akers that fumbled
yeah.
when they're running out the clock? I mean, it's just like I don't know, man. It's so tough.
It's like every McVay running back not named Todd Gurley is a problem.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right,
Anyway,
let's move on to the picks for this week. We have another. This is a London game this time. We have another Europe game. The Vikings, as the NFL is soft launching, slow rolling, seeing how teams handle being out in Europe for 2 weeks in a row. Obviously, played in Dublin last week, losing to the Steelers, and their reward is staying out there in London to take on Dylan Gabriel, making his NFL debut in the Cleveland Browns. So a really stellar quarterback matchup of Carson Wentz versus Dylan Gabriel against two of the elite defenses in the NFL. Obviously, Brian Flores cooks up absurd coverage disguises and pressures and all this sort of other stuff, and it works, pretty much exclusively against everyone. And I can't imagine Dylan Gabriel's going to have a very fun time out there. Meanwhile, I think Miles Garrett is going to fold Carson Wentz up like a pretzel at times. It might get ugly for him out there too. So I think this is going to be a really ugly, low scoring London disaster. The Vikings are favored by 3.5 points, and I think I got to take it. I just Dylan Gabriel is probably the most physically limited quarterback in the NFL. What is he, like, 5'9", left-handed, doesn't
I
really
think
run all
he's
that
five listed
well.
at 5'11", but I agree with
Okay,
you.
yeah,
I don't
5'11".
I
Dude,
don't
he's
understand
like
why
Muggsy
Dylan.
Bogues out there.
Well, I don't understand why Dylan Gabriel was drafted. Regardless, when you look at the measurables. Like he threw the fastest ball at the combine, which wow, Michael, the underwear Olympics. Yeah,
Well,
like Dylan Gabriel wasn't even considered a prospect, and then at the combine he became a day 3 prospect and probably one of the least talented drafts
yeah,
that we've
yeah,
seen, right? Especially considering the lack of rookie production that we've seen so far this
right.
year overall, right?
Mhm.
So, with that being said, I mean, I'm going with the Vikings. I'm going to go with the Vikings because I think after last week's debacle with Carson Wentz, listen, they're going to run the ball. They're going to run the ball like 40 plus times, the Minnesota Vikings.
Mhm.
Heavy dose of Jordan Mason. And listen, you saw with the Lions what they did last week, too, against the Browns. Just run the ball, don't screw up, and we're going to win.
Yeah, and, like, just ensure that your passes are quick, short, quick passes. Don't let Myles Garrett. I mean, he can Myles Garrett can, like, phase through the offensive
Right, I
line at
agree,
times.
and
Like, you just gotta get
I
it
think
out.
what you're gonna see is they're gonna treat Miles Garrett like teams would treat Lawrence Taylor. You double him and then don't run,
Triple him.
double, triple him, and don't run to his side.
Triple him and throw it in under 2 seconds every time, yeah. Alright, let's get on to the 1 o'clocks. This is a pretty yeesh slate, scrolling through it here, but we're gonna go to Carolina, where the Panthers are hosting the Dolphins. The Dolphins are without Tyreek Hill, who suffered a pretty gruesome injury.
Oh yeah,
Only 1.5 point favorites. The public is pretty split on this game, with slight lean towards the Dolphins coming off a win. This is ugly, man. I am not even remotely touching this game. I have no idea what could possibly happen. Like, are the Dolphins, did they figure something out? Is Tyreek Hill's injury going to just send them back to square one? Carolina blows out, Atlanta 30-0 one week, and then they get absolutely railed by the Patriots the following week. So, what are the Carolina Panthers? I think they're just bad, but I also think the Dolphins are equally as bad. I I guess I'll take Miami though, because they just are on paper a better team. I guess the Panthers defense is so bad that I think
this
Achan
is a
can kinda
very hard.
single-handedly win this
This is a
game.
really hard read because both these teams botch their draft positioning every year. By the looks of it, Carolina's little run at the end of the year clearly was false. Like clear, it was clearly means nothing.
Right.
Clearly meant nothing. What we're seeing out of them this year.
Right.
Um, dude, I'm taking the Panthers because I just feel like this Dolphins team, like you just said, like against the Jets, that was like, hey, it's Monday Night Football against the Jets. It's a rival. Like I don't really put much stock in it, especially now
Hmm.
they're on the road in Carolina. No Tyreek Hill.
I think it's just gonna be an HM wins this game single-handedly, but we'll
Uh,
see. Maybe
for
Jalen Phillips continues to get some pressure so he can get traded out of there to someone else, like to Baltimore or something.
it.
Um,
Sure.
Next game, oh god, another yeesh game. The Dallas Cowboys on the road to take on the New York Jets. Now the Cowboys only 1.5 point favorites. This has to mean no CeeDee Lamb again. If they're still only 1.5 point
Oh, he
favorites.
was
But I
fluttering
mean,
around, jumping up and down the sideline when the Cowboys tied the Packers. I mean, I don't know.
yeah, I mean, like, is this like a classic letdown spot for the Cowboys? They put 40 on like one of the best, defenses in the league, or is it like their offense is just kind of going to be that good this year? Like, well, what was it? It was the Arizona Cardinals offensive line coach is now the Cowboys offensive coordinator, and obviously the Cardinals have been a super efficient running team over the last like 2 or 3 years, and the Cowboys are the most efficient team in the NFL running the football this year with Javonte Williams. They're not getting the explosives, but that's more of an indictment on the running back room not being able to hit some home runs with, Williams or Sanders or whatever. But they're they're still most efficient by like EPA and all that other stuff. So they're able to run the football, and Dak has looked like the best or second best quarterback in the league this year, the way he's been playing. He's been really, really good. So I'm going to take Dallas. Maybe Justin Fields is going to open things up. They're going to press deep with some bombs to Garrett Wilson, but I'm just thinking the Cowboys are going to have a little too much offensively for the Jets to handle.
So the Cowboys entering this game are going to be without Tyler Guyton, Cooper Beebe, and Tyler Booker, with Tyler Smith not having even practiced this week, who is their best offensive lineman.
Hmm.
The New York Jets have not forced a turnover all season.
I mean, the Jets defense has been largely
And the
bad.
fact, and honestly, like the fact we see this really fugazi line of the Cowboys laying 1.5. I know
I mean, they're
it's like,
1-2-1, John. Like, it's not like they're.
I mean, the Jets are 0 or like a pathetic 0-4, even though they jetted up 2 of their losses.
And the Cowboys are a gritty 1-2-1.
I'm taking the Jets to outright win this game because on Michael, I know we talked. I don't know. We didn't talk about this enough. Jerry Jones almost looked like he was about to do handstands after them tying the Michael Parsons revenge game is peak loserdom.
Well, yes, we know that about the
That is
Cowboys,
peak loserdom. And I mean, you could get Saul. I mean, listen, also, there's another thing too, is with Sauce Gardner, right? He's going to go on George Pickens all game, right? I maybe this is kind of like where Sauce shows how, kind of what we saw from a couple years ago, because he is not the same player he was 2 years ago, in my opinion, Michael.
I mean, I just think the Jets are worse.
Like the most penalized corner in the NFL, not named Joey Porter. So,
It's on the Jets.
but also we're forgetting one thing too.
I
This Cowboys
know.
defense is ass. Like, if we're gonna see like we might see the, oh wow, Justin Fields. Maybe he's not that bad. No, it's because they're playing the
Yeah,
Cowboys defense.
right. The next game we have here, I think this is the biggest spread of the week, or one of. No, it's not. There's a couple bigger ones, but this is one of the bigger spreads of the week. The Indianapolis Colts at home against the Raiders. Now, the Raiders have looked pretty terrible. Geno has not looked great. Um, Defense has been kind of the strong suit, but like it only kind of lasts so long. It's really like Max Crosby taking over games at times. Genti is looking quite good. Was finally breaking out a little bit against the Bears there. The Colts, though, I mean, they look good. Shane Steichen's cooking with Jones. Jonathan Taylor is probably the favorite for Offensive Player of the Year at this point, um, or like second, behind Puka maybe. There's some boneheaded plays away from being 4-0 and beating the Rams last week. So it makes sense why they're such a big favorite, but I guess I'm gonna ride with the Raiders at least one more week. I do think Daniel Jones probably should not be a 7-point favorite from, like, this point on in his career, but he is, so I don't love that. I think I'm gonna go with the Raiders to cover and the Colts to win. Maybe that's stupid, but
I'm gonna go with the Raiders as well. Really tough loss for them last week. Obviously, the Genti breakout game happened.
I mean, the blocked field goal, pretty.
Blocked field goal. I do feel like they kind of figured their offense out a little bit last week though, Michael too.
Mhm.
I'm gonna say this though, even though last week Daniel Jones had a touchdown pass basically negated because Adonai Mitchell
Sure.
fumbled out of the back of the end zone. I do feel like at some point his carriage is going to turn back to a pumpkin. We're going to see at least some of his mistakes, shall we say, kind of come to light. Because look, I think
Mhm.
the Raiders defense is overachieving, I think, despite the fact that Pete Carroll basically like gutted that defense, letting a lot of guys go to bring in his guys or
Mhm.
guys that fit his system better. I think it's going to be a low scoring game. I'm going to go with the Raiders getting the 7 points as well.
The next game we have here it's a funny one. The Saints are hosting the Giants, and the Saints are 1.5-point favorites, and everyone is hammering the Giants. Everyone's buying into the Dart hype where it's just funny, man. So I watched a good Theo breakdown on Jackson Dart's debut, and it's like the Chargers played that game in the first half or when Neighbors before the injury. It was like petrified of Malik Neighbors. Like they would have, if Neighbors was singled up on one side, they would have like three defenders shaded that way, and then they would have like four defenders shaded on the three receivers on the other side. And then that leaves you with only like four players in the box basically against the offensive lineman, Jackson Dart, and like two running backs in the backfield. Like for whatever they were playing so light in the box when Neighbors was out there. They were like, we are not going to lose to Malik Neighbors. And the Giants kind of ran the ball right down the throat. Scatterbo was pretty efficient. Dart was efficient running the ball as well, albeit being stupid, trying to stiff arm helmets with his right hand. He's just an idiot. Like he is absolutely going to get hurt this year. I could almost guarantee it. Um, and then Neighbors goes down, and the Chargers' entire defensive game plan shifts to okay, we're press manning everybody because these receivers blow, and we're going to have more bodies in the box. And from that point on, the Giants offense really struggled to move the ball. The only reason they beat the Chargers is because both their starting tackles were hurt and, the Giants pass rush was lethal. It was getting to Herbert like immediately. They were killing him. So yeah, I'm not moved by the Giants. I think they're gonna really struggle to win games without Malik Neighbors because there's just zero threat from wide receivers. Like Wandale Robinson might get his like 14 targets, but it's going to be like an A dot of like six,
Uh, I was
maybe
going to say
three.
three.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's gonna be ugly. So I'm gonna take the Saints minus 1.5. Do I think they should be favored in this game? I think it's kind of a sharp line to make them favorites because everyone would assume that after the Giants just beat the Chargers, that they would at least be favored over the Saints, who we consider one of the worst teams in the league, but they're not. And we know that home field isn't 3 points anymore, so this is pretty much an even on a neutral, and they're slightly
Well,
favoring the Saints because they're at
well,
home.
no, I think you're also looking at it too. It's Saints play at the Dome. I mean, still the Dome. Still not an easy place to play, especially for a rookie quarterback making his second NFL start. There was a report today that the Saints are going to be shopping a lot of their veterans at the trade deadline, looking to obviously clear up cap space because Mickey Loomis is a moron at managing the cap, and they need draft picks. And the next two drafts are going to be probably two of the most talent laden drafts. So it makes sense to accrue draft picks when you're as bad as the Saints are. Now you're probably wondering, Michael, what does that mean? It means they're going to ball out tomorrow because they want to get the hell off that team.
Yeah,
Like,
Cameron Jordan is playing out of his mind this year. He's having one of his better seasons that he's had in his long career at this point. At least one of the better ones in the last like 4 years or so. Really, really dominating. It's one of those guys where it's like, he's like if Brandon Graham, if the Eagles sucked for like the last 7 years. Like, is Brandon Graham really going to want to leave? I don't know. Brandon Graham probably would not want to
no,
leave. Is
but
Cameron Jordan going to want to leave? He still hasn't won a Super Bowl, so maybe. But he loves the Saints, so we'll see if he actually wants to get out of there. He's the
well, I mean,
biggest trade chip they have.
I'm talking about like Alvin Kamara. I'm
Sure,
talking,
there's some offensive players too.
I'm
Yeah,
talking about Chris Olave.
I mean those are more like young. Like, not that Kamara is super young, but those are younger,
He's
more.
30.
It's the tough age for the running back. But like Olave is only what, like 25, 26.
Right, but I think he's due for an extension. He's had
No, I
injury
know it's
problems.
not that it doesn't make sense, but I think Olave is a little bit more of an expensive
But they said that they have a
package.
lot of veterans that they're looking to shop. And you
Yeah.
actually look at their roster, it's not like the worst roster in the world. It's literally they have no quarterback and they have a rookie head coach.
Yeah, they,
So
they have guys. They have guys for sure. Next game we have is probably the biggest line swing of the week. Ravens were initially favored 7.5 points. Obviously, injuries galore. No Lamar Jackson. Matabike's out for the season. Kyle Hamilton popped up on the injury report this week. A lot of their defensive players popped up on the injury report. Obviously, no Lamar is the big one. So the Texans are actually 1.5 point road favorites in Baltimore against Cooper Rush. Dude, I think I got to take the Texans, man. Like, as crazy as it'll seem for Baltimore to start 1-4, if Lamar's going to be hurt for like 3 weeks, which is what it seems like, yeah, I think the playoffs are certainly in jeopardy for them. Of course, to start 1-4 is pretty brutal, but they do have a favorable stretch when it's um, estimated Lamar's going to come back, and they should be like the Ravens. I do think are talented enough to like go on one of those runs,
bro,
but
I'm,
I am
I
going to
just
take the
I'm sorry.
Texans.
Can I just share something with you because I just wanted to look up. I went to Google Ravens record without Lamar Jackson. It says this. I'm going to read you the AI overview. The Baltimore Ravens record without Lamar Jackson since the 2018 season is 4-10. This includes a 1-9 record in games where Jackson missed time during the 2023 season, which makes no sense because he played the entire season.
I mean, he won
The
the MVP that
MVP
year. See,
with
AI,
with
yeah,
the team also losing the recent game against the Houston Texans with Cooper Rush as its starting
yeah. I
quarterback.
mean, AI overview is a disaster, dude. That pisses me off to no
So
end.
the Ravens
Anyways,
are 4-9 without Lamar Jackson. They'll
I
have,
mean, I don't even know if that's true. I can't trust
well,
it. They
no,
just
no, I
told
got
you they
well, no, I got
lost to the
well, no, I have
Texans.
stat no, I have stat
Okay,
muse pulled
okay,
up.
okay. Got it.
So
Okay.
the last time they won a
Anyways,
game without Lamar was in Christmas Eve 2022 where they beat the Falcons 17-9, the Desmond Ritter Falcons
that was the Huntley.
with
Yeah, I mean
Snoop
those
Harvey.
Huntley was like somewhat capable. I don't know how capable Cooper Rush is.
He is not capable.
Yeah, I'm taking the Texans, man. I think the Ravens pass rush is so bad that it's not even going to be able to fully take advantage of how bad the Texans offensive line is. And then obviously no Lamar. We're going to see a heavy dose of Derrick Henry. And maybe he single-handedly wills them to a win, but I'm going to just take Houston
I'm going to
minus one
take
and
the
a half.
Texans. I'm taking the Texans as well. I do want to talk about real for a couple minutes about the why the Ravens are 1-3, and I know you mentioned it before several times. It's the injuries that they're suffering. However,
It
I
looks
think
like it's deeper than that at the
I
moment.
think it's a lot deeper than that. I think the Ravens have a serious culture problem. I think when we talk about when guys get injured, injuries are I think are half luck based, half guys taking care of their bodies in the off season, right? You because apparently Jair Alexander, right, who they signed, showed up out of shape for the Ravens. Played the first game, got cooked, and now he's sitting to get back into shape.
Hmm.
Like, why was he out there in the first place if he wasn't in shape? And then,
Yeah.
and then you hear stories about like Ravens players after they lost the AFC title game a couple years ago to the Chiefs. Hours later, they went out partying. I think the big indictment on their culture, everyone's, the character assassinators. Well, I guess we'll call them, right. Oh, Lamar pulled himself out of the game against the Chiefs because he was worried about his quarterback rating. No, he's legitimately injured
No, he
because his
quit
O
on the
line
team.
can't
Like he
protect
was.
them. You saw that clearly in the Lion game. Their O line blows.
Hmm.
You have like Marlon Humphrey. It has like a podcast. He's clearly trying to be the next Darius Slay with the podcast of corners. Now that
Sure.
Arion Arnold and Patrick Surtain have a podcast too, which someone said they should call it Goat and Ass because Arion Arnold's a horrible corner. No, it's like he's right. He's podcasting right after they get smoked by the Chiefs, and he's trying to like laugh and joke around, and all their fans are all spamming hate comments on his podcast. This is an indictment on John Harbaugh, where he has like players. The vibe I just get, Michael, is like they're like the Dallas Cowboys of the AFC from the perspective that they're living off past championships, past glory, and they're not focused on winning. It's about
They're
stat.
they're like John. They're like the Sixers. They're very much the Sixers, where Lamar and Embiid, the parallels are like so uncanny. It hurts. Where it's like all-time regular season players. It's undeniable. You try to say otherwise, you're just lying. You're literally just spreading misinformation. And you look at their postseason performances, and it's not like they're bad or brutal, but it's just not to the elite level that we hold them to. And when it's not, the issue is that the way that both those franchises have built their teams over the last 7 years or so is that in order for them to win, it is required for Joel Embiid or Lamar Jackson to be at the peak of their powers. If those 2 guys do not play like the best players that they are during the regular season,
The
they
best
do
player
not
in the
win.
league.
Yeah, like, if they don't play as good as they possibly can, they do not win, and I know that can sound a little dumb. Well, like, obviously, you wanna trust your best players to be the best players, but it's like, look at the way the Eagles build out their team. We can win if Jalen doesn't play amazing. We can win if we struggle running the football. The Chiefs have won playoff games where Mahomes maybe doesn't have a huge stat line. Even the Steelers, Roethlisberger, they could win playoff games if he doesn't play out of his mind. Joe Flacco is a great example, where they were winning some ugly playoff games if he didn't play great, but they didn't win the Super Bowl until he played like lights out elite sort of stuff. So there's a lot of teams, like the Packers kind of are a victim of this too, where it's like if Rodgers didn't play his best, they just were never winning. Like the
They have no shot
Seahawks,
at winning.
that Seahawks game, perfect example. Russell Wilson throws 4 interceptions, they get a fumble, and they lose, because the Packers Rodgers didn't play great that day. Like it's they're so the Sixers that it hurts, and it's like I know it's hard to build out a full elite roster where it's like, okay, we have this fallback if Lamar doesn't play well. But when you put all your eggs in a basket, sometimes it burns you. And to further connect the Sixers thing, as good as on paper as things can look, whatever team you want to talk about, there just always feels like there's this negative stench aura around them
Yeah, it's called culture.
that blows. And whether it's like John Harbaugh, whether it's Doc Rivers, whether it's like
Daryl Morey.
Daryl Morey, whether it's just like Ben Simmons, whether it's Marlon Humphrey, whether it's like Zay Flowers from like whatever it may be, it's different every time. It's a no one person deserves the blame because it's just like the whole thing. And for as well run as the Ravens seemingly have been over the years, they can't really get to
I
that next level,
totally buy into the John Harbaugh being the Doc Rivers of the NFL. I totally buy that comparison because both have one championship, but
And
they're
they've lived off that their rest of their coaching career. It's like Harbaugh was canned if Lamar didn't come in and save his job, and, like, if he hadn't won that Super Bowl, he
they
probably
take
would've
shots at
definitely
their
been
own
canned.
players. They like he took a shot at Kyle Hamilton on
They're not,
that.
like, super accountable as
Yeah,
coaches.
he took that shot at Kyle Hamilton, and I was just kind of like, I'm like John, like I'm gonna say to John Harbaugh, like, you're just an asshole, man. Like no
He is
one
an
wants to,
asshole.
nobody wants to be there. Like that's the
Yeah.
problem. Uh,
People wanna play with Lamar like people wanna play with Joel, but you stink. You bother everyone so much. No one wants to play for Doc. No one wants to play for Doc Rivers, man. No one wants to play for John Harbaugh.
because you
Yeah.
ask yourself like, why can't the Ravens get any wide receivers to sign that are like in their prime? Like, why did they not make an attempt to sign Devontae Adams? Where it's like, why did the Sixers not make an attempt to acquire? It's right. That's a very good comp. I said the Cowboys because they both play football, but it's
Well, I
kind of
mean, the
like the same,
Cowboys are like the Sixers too, so
right? So it's like just this string
they're
of
all the same. It's all the same. Anyways,
loserdom. Anyway,
next
Texans. All
next
right. Oh man.
next
Oh
game,
wow.
open up the 4 o'clocks. Cardinals Titans. Cardinals are 7.5 point
Dude,
favorites.
I really want Cam Ward to win a game
Should
because
the
I
Cardinals ever be 7.5 point favorites? Probably not. But if there's a team for them to be, it's definitely the Titans, dude. The Titans are so bad. Like
let's look
Brian
at the. I want to look
Callahan,
at what Titans. I want to see their injury report because
Calvin Ridley has not practiced this week. So,
yikes.
but like he's also looked like ass anyways. But also, if you
Yeah,
remove
he
him
looks like
from
he's cooked.
the equation, that receiver room is just putrid. They get Tajay Spears back this week, but like not that that makes a huge difference. Because Pollard's been fine enough.
Well,
Like
here's
it's
the.
not.
Well, you say, oh, Ty J Spears doesn't make a difference. I'm gonna say this though.
Yes, you
You
can
saw.
throw it to him
Well,
more.
that's what I was gonna say. But here's the difference between Brian Callahan and Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan knows how to make it work somehow.
Kyle
Brian
Shanahan,
Callahan,
go
why
ahead.
was Brian Callahan ever hired to be the head coach of the Titans in the first place?
Yeah, so you wouldn't have to worry about play calling. He was the Bengals guy. He was Burrow, and then they took that huge jump offensively. That sort of thing. I If Kyle Shanahan was the coach of the Titans, they definitely would have at least one win by now, perhaps two.
Well, yeah, I would agree with that. Speaking of that, though, Kyle Shanahan doesn't have a contract after this year, and I kind of threw this out there before, Michael, where I'm like, he should stay with the Niners, but because John Lynch is an idiot, he's a bad GM. He is. He's a
It'll
bad.
be it'll be it'll be interesting if
He's a
this is
bad
like
GM.
their Andy Reid moment of like,
Well,
okay,
do you
it's
think
time to
if
move
you're
on.
like the Titans, I mean, do you think the Titans should just? I mean, I think he might go to the Titans because they'll just back up the Brinks trucks and just be like
If he's available,
full control of the roster.
he's going to be super highly desired if he's
I
available.
agree.
Yeah. All
Well,
right.
let's get back with this game.
I'm gonna take the Cardinals though. I think I have to. I don't know.
I
I
think
can't.
The Cardinals are just like
They're so mid. Every analytic you look at, every stat, they're right there, like 14 to 18. They're at every single one of them. They're so mid.
I'm going to take the Cardinals reluctantly, but
I am too.
I would not be shocked if we see like we're like, wow, Cam Ward is going to be like a top 10 quarterback for the next 15 years if he actually has weapons. Like they actually show up and ball out. I
We'll
would not be
see.
surprised if we see that happen.
Next game we have here is an interesting one as well. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are on the road against the Seattle Seahawks, who Darnold looks great. The Bucks are still banged up though. Um, no Mike Evans though, right? Is he missing today or tomorrow?
Yeah,
And the big one for them is Bucky Irving is missing some time with an ankle injury, which I didn't know he suffered, but he did. And yeah, so Rashad White's going to be that feature back in Tampa Bay this week. Listen, man, Bucky Irving is a hell of a player. He's super dynamic. He's very, very hard to tackle. He can, hit the home run ball. He can make people miss in the open field. He's hard to, whatever. I don't love Tampa this week, like at all. I don't love Tampa, period. I know I hate the Buccaneers and I have like an agenda and I don't really like Baker and all that sort of stuff. All that's very true. But
wow,
they're
wow.
just like, they're just not that good. I'm sick of it, dude. Like sick of pretending like there's some great team that like Baker leads the guys because he's tough and he's like barstool and all this sort of crap. Like I'm so sick of it. And I think him losing to Sam Darnold would be like good for my mojo here. So
Yeah, I would
I'm
say,
kind of willing it to happen, but I think it's
yeah,
legitimately going to happen. They're going to struggle running the ball without Bucky.
yeah. This is a bad. I mean, I think this is
It's a bad spot for Tampa.
this is a bad spot for Tampa, and I also feel like this is a very good like litmus test for this Seattle team because they are 3-1, and
Mhm.
their only loss was Mike McDonald doing his best like ultra conservative coach
Right.
impression week 1.
His
Kicking
best
up
John Harbaugh impression.
his best John Harbaugh impression. I think they might have learned from that, but I think he's like learned from that though. The vibe I'm
He's
getting,
learning, and it's
he's
like
learning
Darnold's got
now.
his juice, man.
Now, flip side, right? Bucks defense isn't really injured. They're at like you saw, like if there's a game where Sam Darnold might be seeing ghosts, it could be this game. I think they're going to lean heavily on the run still, just because of Kenneth Walker. For some reason, he only gets like 8-10 carries a game, but he's averaging like almost like. Let me pull up like pull me. I want to pull up Kenneth Walker's
Yeah, no,
numbers.
I think they're really just trying to be careful with his health. Like, it's
Right.
it's it's frustrating as it is. It's like they don't want to just run him because he's better than Charbonnet and he's really good. It's like we run him if we start giving him 15 plus carries a game, he's going to break down.
But man, it does feel like for Tampa going into Seattle, like it felt like though, and I think they knew it.
The way they
They had
lost
to
to the
beat the
Eagles.
Eagles this
Yes,
week, and it's
yes,
okay
yes.
if they drop this game to the
I
Seahawks.
agree, and it's the
Now
way
that
they
they,
lost too. If they just got blown out like it looked from the beginning, I think Tampa would have been in a better spot to bounce back. But it's the fact that they were able to fight and scratch and claw, and it was like palpable. Like Baker throwing a stupid ass interception in the end zone away from potentially, winning that
yeah, but he
game.
was throwing bad passes all game. Like a lot of people forget that Cooper DeJean dropped a
I
pick.
know. All right, sorry.
DeJean
It's
dropped a
so
pick.
frustrating.
That like
Dude,
that
yeah, and Luka touchdown
Makuba whiffing on
sucked.
the INT,
His best
where
his best play was the Bucky touchdown, which,
that was
like,
that
was
was a
just a
great
busted
play.
coverage, and it was a great throw, but it's like, you know, the interception he did throw to Jahad Campbell, there is a wide open touchdown in the back of the end zone. Like, it's there. It is a like, but the pressure sorta comes. It really didn't even really break through a ton, but as soon as he felt some sort of pressure,
Well, no, I
It's
thought the
it's his
Eagles.
biggest issue. What Baker does when he gets pressured and he like takes his eyes off the field for a second. He like looks down. Pressure comes and he immediately brings his eyes down to like try to find the escape route. And then once he escapes, then he picks it back up and looks downfield, as opposed to standing in there tough because there was a touchdown to throw on the back of the end zone. It was a bad rep by Makuba. He got totally beat
Mm.
and was wide open. But you like pause it to when he's getting open and you look at Baker and it's like there's no eagle really around him, but the pocket collapsed a little bit and he's holding the ball like this, just kind of looking down, and then he like crabs his way out of there, thinks he's like Mahomes to sling that in the back of the end zone, and he throws a pick. So there was a guy there, and Baker, his shortcomings really were on display in that moment. But regardless,
I thought the Eagles uh, pass rush did a great job against the Bucks all game because they forced Baker to. You're gonna laugh when I say this. They forced Baker to stay in the pocket, not run out of said pocket, and make plays, which is what he's best at doing. So when he was
yeah,
forced in the pocket, you saw how bad he is.
his best, like, getting out of the pocket is when it's, like, a free rusher and he has, like, it's one direction he's gotta go. But when you're kinda boxing him in and he starts pattering his feet, that's when he's cooked. That's when it's like he's freaking out. He's gonna escape and then force something, and that's what you saw. So, yeah, we're both taking Seattle there. It's I think it's just a really tough spot for Tampa too. Now we have Detroit, Cincinnati. I'm sure the
Man, this was
NFL
supposed to be the game of
thought
the
this
week.
was gonna be a great game, and it sucks. This game's horrible. Bengals are 10.5 point underdogs at home. Jake Browning looks atrocious. He can't even put it in the vicinity of Jamar Chase or T. Higgins consistently. It's just so bad, and their defense is so bad. We know the Lions like we know the Lions, John. They love to run up the score. They love to put a lot of points on the board. So yeah, I'm taking Detroit minus 10.5 here to have their classic, like, 30-point win that they keep. Amon-Ra St. Brown gets his second touchdown with 4 minutes to go in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that they love running the score up, but they also love running the score up while leaving all their key starters in. Hence why Aiden Hutchinson like shattered his leg last year. They're beating
Yeah,
the Cowboys by 30 points and they're trying to blitz like every play. Definitely
right.
like a big stat padding team. Uh do the I mean
Football gods don't reward that shit. That's why they lose the way they lose.
at some point do you feel like the Bengals, do like the Bengals just I don't know, maybe get lucky. I don't know. No, 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 no. I could see this being like 14-14 maybe because I'm still not sold on this Detroit secondary
Mhm,
at all. Their secondary is bad. Like there is no debating that. It is bad.
mhm,
And like I don't know, they run like a nice they like Terrion Arnold's in space with Jamar Chase and he just catches it and rips and runs for 70 yards. Doesn't really take much skill to throw that pass though, right? They could still
mhm.
we saw it 2 years ago when Browning was in there the first place. But dude, their O line is cooked. I'm gonna go with the Lions as well. This might be interesting though because they'll probably fire Zach Taylor after this season, and then if I don't know if you look at like 2026 NFL mock drafts, like clearly the Bengals will probably have a top 5 pick, right? And like there's some really good players that are going to be available
I mean, there
for
just
that
needs to be, like, an elite offensive
on the
lineman, and
D
they need
line
to.
specifically on the D
No, they
line.
need an offensive lineman. If they're any ounce of brain, they're drafting an all-pro offensive lineman for the next 15 years. Um, but we'll see.
Francis
Next game we
Muaga.
have, this is probably the game of the week, especially with, some health coming back the Commanders' way. Obviously, still no McLaurin, which is very bad. But they do get Jaden Daniels back this week. They said he's going to play with a knee
He's in a knee
brace,
brace, and their
which
fans
is
are having
yeesh,
RG3 PTSD
flashbacks.
because
Yeah, no, for sure.
yes,
And good, good. I'm glad. So the Commanders are 2.5 point underdogs in SoFi against the Chargers. It's hard for me to believe in the Chargers, dude. Like I really did believe in them for the
Oh,
first 3 weeks, and dude, without their 2 tackles, it's so hard. It is
yeah,
so hard to be
yeah, but
good.
what's the Commanders' biggest weakness?
Age,
No, what's their biggest weakness as a team?
ownership.
No,
Sorry.
like on the field, what are
I
they
know, I
bad
know.
at?
Pass rush, they don't, they
Right,
struggle
they're
getting
bad at
home.
rushing the passer. So if this is like literally like the ideal situation for like them to rest Joe on. If this was the Broncos, they played the Broncos again. Oh yeah, they'd be in trouble. They'd be in big trouble. But
Yeah,
at this,
I'm taking the Chargers. Um,
I am taking the Chargers as well for a couple reasons too. I do think God, like I would love if Jaden Daniels has a bad game, and then
mm.
and then it's like, well, how come Mariota plays well when he's in, but then you got Jaden Daniel, like the
They
Mac
love
Jones,
Jaden Daniels. I hope he plays
and Jaden Daniels
poorly.
is a way better
The
quarterback than Mariota, but I just need the Commanders fans after like Billy Tinkle and those like
Yeah, no, for sure.
troll guys.
The lack of mobility, I think, is gonna be evident because the Chargers' defense has been quite good all season. And, I think honestly, I think it's kinda like how the Eagles' goal was to keep Baker in the pocket. I think your goal for Jaden Daniels should be to try to flush him out of the pocket. Like,
That's his
get
knee.
him get him on the move, test that knee, see if he can run, see if he's gonna be super careful sliding, see if he's gonna just wanna throw the ball away a ton. Like, you gotta get after him and make him uncomfortable, get him off his spot with that
I am
knee, and I
very
think they're
curious
capable
to
of doing
see
that.
how many Commanders fans are going to be at this game because it is at SoFi.
No, and I am intrigued too because,
Whose house? Chargers house?
yeah, I wonder if yeah, we'll see. So we're both taking the Chargers there, -2.5. Now we have the Sunday night game. The Buffalo Bills are at home against the New England
They're wearing
Patriots.
those
They're
sweet new
wearing
uniforms.
their icy white out, fans are gonna be in all white. It's gonna
Hey,
be a
James
cool
Franklin's head
environment.
coaching this game, Michael, so it's going to be the whiteout. But
John,
I think I know where you're going here. I
you
think.
know Drake May has the
Oh
highest
God, I
completion
knew it.
percentage in the
I knew
NFL
it.
this year. He has been far and away the most efficient quarterback on third down. It's like 2017 Wentz level third down insanity. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I think this is like this there's a lot of the football nerds out there that love Drake May and they want to gush about Drake May and they do in their private circles and like it hasn't reached mainstream yet. It hasn't gotten the
Oh
talking
man,
heads
no, here we
around the
go.
league. I'm setting this
I
up.
gotta listen to you next week, being like, I like Drake May before Drake May was cool.
No,
If they win this
this is not
game,
no, 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 no. This is not that. But this is the Drake May like coming out party of national television.
that's
Everyone
a
in the
good point.
world is
That's a good
thinking
point.
Buffalo's gonna rail them, all this sort of stuff. And listen, they might lose. They might lose. However, if Drake May is slinging it down the field, converting big third downs, and being accurate down the field, and the Bills just, their defense gets kind of cooked a little bit and they escape out of there with a win, like 34-31 with like a walk-off field goal or 27-24, and it's like, man, I really wish just Drake May could have the ball in his hands to end this game because he would totally win. Like that's going to be the game's going to end and it's going to be like, man, Buffalo is lucky that Drake May didn't have the ball in his hands to end the game because he was going to put them down and win. That's my prediction. I'm taking New England +8.5. Did I sell you on it?
What?
Did I sell you on it?
You kind of did. I want to take a little slightly different angle here though from what you did. Yes, I think Drake May has a very promising future in the NFL. I do. agree with you on that. He kind of reminds me a little bit of like Aaron Rodgers with like the mobility, but he's not super mobile, the arm talent.
He reminds
He's,
me of like one of the most talented quarterbacks of all time. Casually.
yeah,
No, I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
but he does. I mean, I don't know.
He
Maybe he
does.
just
He
does. I don't
does.
know.
No, he actually does. Like that's
Yeah,
part of.
he legit does.
Yes,
The
I
problem is,
agree. That's
I
part of why he's good.
right, but he's got two things working against him. One is offensive coordinators Josh McDaniels, and two, he's got like no talent around him. I will say this though, we're gonna see this gonna be Drake May national like coming out party. I
Hmm.
think this might be the week where we see more Travion Henderson being used in a
Okay.
dynamic capacity
Okay.
because like the I think Vrabel. Listen, Vrabel's not going up to Buffalo to go get railed. Like that is not. That's like not like he's a
So
good.
you're, with all this being said, you're on the Pats?
What's the line again? 8.5.
8.5 is a lot of points.
I do think though with like the heavies, this is definitely going to be like the money line is very much like Pats cover,
Bills
Bills
win.
win. The trend that's been established the last few years is like whoever like the spread only matters in 18% of games. I'm going to take the Bills because I also think like the Pats have played in close games every week. It feels like it does kind of feel like they're due to get smoked because they're still a growing team, and I think what we might see a lot of is
I mean, you think it's
Travion
smoked is
Henderson.
not the
Travion,
Drake
there is
May
absolutely
argument.
zero excuse that Travion Henderson is playing behind Antonio Gibson, Ramondre Stevenson. It's because of Josh McDaniels, because he's a horrible coach, Michael. Josh
Sure.
McDaniels is a terrible coach. And you mentioned about Drake May, like, he's a great player, etc. He's gonna get held back by Josh McDaniels. I'm telling you right now, in about 4 weeks, you're gonna see
I'm
you're gonna see a Pat McAfee segment where Boston Connor has a stroke on ESPN talking about Josh McDaniels.
I think we're gonna see it's gonna be like halftime or the third quarter. And Chris Collins was gonna be like, it's not crazy to say that, Drake May's been outplaying Josh Allen to this point. And then like Josh Allen's gonna put on some like nuclear drive and he's gonna be like, well, I guess Josh heard me, like that sort of stuff. But it's gonna
Yeah, he's gonna totally.
be
Yeah,
a
it's gonna be like yeah, dude. It's gonna be like 10-7 Pats at halftime. Collinsworth's gonna say some of his classic hyperbole, and then Josh Allen goes nuclear. Here's one thing I
yeah.
find interesting that no one brings up, and we know why no one brings it up. James Cook has ran for 100 yards his first 4 games and has a touchdown in all those games. He
Listen,
is
people love to say Josh Allen does it all himself. Dude, the Bills are the best offensive line in the league, or the second best offensive line in the league behind Denver, maybe. Like, they are ridiculously good. Deion Dawkins is very, very good. They have multiple guys up there. They can run block really well and they can pass block really well. Josh Allen, his sack rate is like 2.2 or something like that. Like it's something ridiculous. And it's
yeah,
like
because Josh Allen has time to do what he does because he's got a great O line.
he's got a great offensive line. It's great pass protection. It's great running the football. And James Cook is like explosive as hell. The receivers obviously aren't great, but like to act like Josh Allen doesn't have some like super potent rushing attack and an elite offensive line is asinine. Like he arguably has more help than like say he definitely has more help than Mahomes, and he arguably has more help than like Lamar, just because how good that offensive line is. Like it's like you just put those offensive lines in front of those guys, it very much it matters a whole hell of a lot less who
Mahomes
you're
had that
throwing
two
to.
years ago. Mahomes had that 2 years
Yeah,
ago.
it matters a whole hell of a lot less who you're throwing to when your offensive line is elite, you know?
I
So
agree. I agree,
so
Michael.
on to Monday night, before we get to the Eagles game, speaking of Mahomes, we do have the Chiefs here on the road against the Jags. Now, I'm gonna start just kind of riding the Chiefs. I was
Wow.
moved. I was moved by
Yeah,
Xavier
2 weeks
Worthy getting back.
ago,
And granted,
their offense is ass.
the Jags defense is their
Pretty
strong
good,
suit. It's been very, very good, but
but
to their offense, it's been a little to be desired. And I just think the Chiefs are going to kind of go on a run, and they're going to go on like a super run when they get Rashee Rice back. Mahomes, they opened it up a little bit when Worthy got back. They were slinging it down the field. It was looking a little more like pre-Nagy stuff, and I think they're gonna lean into that a little bit more. They realize that's their strong suit until they get a running back. So I'm gonna take Kansas City minus 3.5 on the road here. It's a tough spot. It's definitely a tough spot, but I'm taking the Chiefs on the road minus 3.5.
I'm taking the Chiefs as well. I do think, though, obviously Travis Hunter, Monday Night Football, really has not broken out at all.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Again, 2025 NFL rookie class, ultra disappointing so far.
Mm-hmm.
Love to see more out of him. I, do you kind of feel, though, that with Trevor Lawrence, I mean, the BTJ has done nothing. And I feel like there's nothing in this game that gives me confidence that he's going to break out at this point during this game. There's like no,
Not this game.
there's
Not this
nothing that
game.
inspires me at all. And when you kind of look at that offense, they're really good at running the ball. But Spags is going to dial up as many run blitzes as he possibly can to make sure Travis Etienne doesn't break out or Bashaw
Mm-hmm.
too as well.
Mm-hmm.
This feels like it's going to be like a classic, like 21-10 Kansas City type game. I'm taking
Yeah.
Kansas City as well.
Yeah. Which now takes us to the Eagles game. The Eagles are 4.5 point favorites at home against the Bo Nix led Denver Broncos. Now the Broncos are it's a tough matchup for the Eagles. It is a tough matchup because the things the Broncos are great at, the Eagles are not so great at. The Eagles' offensive line has been pretty putrid to say the least through the first 4 games of the season. Both run, especially run blocking, but also their pass blocking has not been as good as we're akin to seeing. And the Broncos lead the league in pressures. The Eagles have like a total of like 29 pressures as a team or something ridiculous. And like Nick Benito alone has like 25 pressures, something absurd. So the Broncos' pressure rate is like through the roof. Their defensive line is lethal. Their pass rush is lethal. And on the other side of that,
But
the Eagles' pass rush has struggled a lot, and especially from the edges. And the Broncos had the best or second best, depending on where you want to rank them in Buffalo, offensive line of the league. It is one of the massive reasons as to why Bo Nix has not been like totally exposed as some garbage can because he really does not get pressured very much at all. He has plenty of time to just sit there until a check down opens up or anything else. It's really really good. Um, It's tough, man, and their D-backs are very, very good in Denver, and obviously we know how much the Eagles are struggling to throw the ball right now. Like it's a lot of the bad things the Eagles have going their way. It is the opposite good thing going the Broncos' way. My biggest hope and desire of this game is Bo Nix's ass, and like I'm pretty confident in saying that. And I think that, you know, while they may not get a ton of pass rush and a ton of pressure, if they let Quinyon follow Cortland Sutton around and take him out of the game the way he's been able to do. And they're aggressive in the check down game with Cooper DeJean making big tackles and Zach Bond being aggressive and Jahad Campbell being aggressive and the safeties coming down. I think they can take away some of that underneath stuff too and take away, force the check downs. But the Eagles, if they have a good tackling game, can really efficiently handle that on defense if they're tackling well and they're in a good tackling zone. So I'm not super worried about the defense. I'll be generally worried about the pass rush, but I think that Fangio is smart enough and they're a good enough tackling team and have good enough stars on the back end to be able to kind of mitigate as good as their offensive line is going to play. I am a bit worried about the offense. I think this game's going to be a slog. I really do.
I think the Broncos have a really good defense.
Hmm.
I do think though it's overrated when because listen, they're great at just pummeling bad offenses. You saw it on Monday night against the Bengals. They're also not good on the road.
Yeah.
Like the Colts did not punt one time against the Broncos defense in Indy, right?
Yeah.
And
I mean, that's Steichen right there, buddy.
well, where did Steichen used to coach?
Oh, where are the geniuses that created Shane Steichen? Is that what? That's so
No,
backwards.
like clearly, like the Broncos could have clearly
James
beaten the
owes it
Bengals.
all to
Hold on,
Shane,
let me talk,
Shane
let me
Steichen
speak.
owes
No,
it
no, no,
all to
no,
Nick
no, no,
Sirianni.
no. Let me speak. Let me speak here for a moment. Let me speak here for a moment. Um, Whenever the Eagles kind of have this thing where like everyone's pissed off and like frustrated, usually
Hmm.
after a win, usually when
Yeah.
it happens after a win where the offense didn't like completely obliterate the opponent, you know,
Hmm.
they're pissed off. They usually come out and play better. Like that's kind of like the MO I feel like of this regime, this Eagles regime, I suppose.
Hmm.
And then you have Sean Payton, who's like, first he's kind of like kissing up to the Eagles, where he's like, I don't hate the tush push. I think it's ridiculous to have because he hates Goodell because of the whole Bounty Gate thing. So anyone that has a beef with Goodell sided with the Eagles on this whole tush push, bannage, I suppose,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? Well, now that like they're playing Fly Eagles Fly at the practice, like he's treating this
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
this
It's
is
a
like
bit.
their
Sean,
super like
listen,
this is
Sean
like their
Payton notoriously successful against the Eagles.
right, but Jalen Hurts' first NFL start was against.
Sean Payton,
Yes! It was Sean Payton. It was
dude,
against
he
Sean
owns Sean
Payton.
Payton.
It was Sean Payton. Yes, it was Sean Payton. I'm taking the Broncos to cover the spread
Uh,
because I've done it the
I'm
last 3 weeks. I've done it the last 3 weeks, and it's worked in the Eagles' favor.
I'm gonna take the Eagles again. If I had to throw like a score prediction out there based on how I feel about this game, like 20-14. Yeah.
I'm going to say this about the Eagles. We're like really hammering. One guy who seems to be immune from criticism right now, which I find odd, is Cameron Jurgens.
I don't think he's immune. I just think
I think we're all kind of
the other problems are a little more
it,
in
it.
your
It does
face.
begin with Kevin Patullo. Like he was kind of
It does.
celebrating.
It's like Kevin Patullo. It's like you see the passing game, how bad it is. You see the receivers pissed off. You see Saquon getting stuffed. You see like Landon Dickerson limping after every play. Like it's you see all that sort of stuff.
I mean, it's. I mean, do you think though? At what point do you think does Jalen go over Patullo's head? He goes to Sirianni. He's like, dude, like let me get more involved in this. Like, please accept my input.
Hmm. Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think, and Sirianni's a player's coach.
Hmm.
You know, but
I mean, you lead the league in three and outs, dude. Like that is so aggravating. You know how bad that is? You lead the league in three and outs with this level of talent on offense. That is unfair. I can't talk about the Eagles bad things because it's really
okay.
pissing me off.
Well, then
Like,
let's just talk about the Phillies, and
yeah,
then we'll wrap it up.
yeah. Let's get into it. So, playoff baseball today. Very excited for that. It's
Yes.
always a stressful blast. Four games today. Open up with an NL Central rivalry. It's a lot of good storylines with the Cubs Brewers series. The Craig Counsell storyline's awesome. The Brewers essentially, getting their manager bought away from them by the Cubs just a couple years ago, and they meet up to match up in the division series. Um, Really, really good stuff. That should be a fun one. And then you have the midday game, the New York Yankees and the Toronto Blue Jays, another good AL East rivalry. A lot of people are thinking the Yankees, after coming losing the first game to the Red Sox and winning the last two, they're going to be on a hot run. The Blue Jays, no Bo Bichette on the roster, still
That's
banged up,
big.
healthy. It is big, but they were able to win without him. So we'll see. That'll be a good one. I feel like we're going to see some bullpens blowing games in that series. Obviously, Phillies Dodgers. We'll talk about a little bit more after this. But then the nightcap, the probably the least exciting series on paper in people's minds, the Detroit Tigers taking on the Seattle Mariners. You know, the Mariners are heavily favored. They definitely have the better team on paper, but we'll see if the Tigers can kind of keep cooking up with some magic after blowing the division. It was one of those things where for the Guardians, I really think they needed the Tigers to miss the playoffs. Like blowing the massive division lead needed to result in them missing because the Tigers, it was like we blew this huge lead. You're in the process of blowing it. It's like you kind of know you're blowing it even when the lead's like 4, you're like, "All right, this is really like this is dissipating. We just kind of got to make the playoffs." And making the playoffs is like a total sigh of relief and it's like, "Okay, it's time to reset. It's time to lock in. It's a new season. We don't even pretend like that just happened. It didn't even happen. Who cares? Let's get in there." And they win a nice grimy series, classic AL Central grossness. We'll see if they kinda can keep riding that or if Seattle's deadline acquisitions are gonna prove to be too much. So, yeah, all every series has good storylines. Every series has should be competitive. I don't think anything should be a rout by any stretch of the imagination. I think most games are gonna be very close, as playoff baseball usually is. So, yeah, I'm excited, man. I'm very, very excited. But Phil's Dodgers, it felt imminent. It's felt like kind of this whole time if the Phillies were ever gonna win the World Series with this core, they were gonna have to go through the Dodgers at some point,
I agree.
and here's the opportunity. So, historically, the Phillies have had some pretty solid success against the Dodgers in the playoffs. Obviously, these 2 teams are not even remotely the same, whatever, but this is a matchup, I think, of it's really gonna be like who hits the bridge to the closer better? I think the Dodgers starting pitching appears to be peaking at the right time. Um, you know, Obviously it's the Reds and you don't want to put a ton of stock into it, but Yamamoto has been amazing in September and continued that into the playoffs. Blake Snell, since he's kind of gotten healthy and into the swing of things, has been very, very, very good. And Phillies very much struggle against him historically. Otani is the leash is off with him as a pitcher. He's full bore, 110 like pitch limit, which is essentially normal for any sort of starter these days. It's looking really good. And Roki Sasaki seems to have been settling into that closer role really nicely for the Dodgers since coming back up from AAA. So that's also good for him. And then you look at the Phillies, and it's kind of the same story. Christopher Sanchez has ascended and truly one of the best pitchers in the game, especially since that Wheeler injury. Luzardo has really settled in and locked in being a really, really nice starter. Likely going to look at a game 2 starter with Ranger Suarez, who is we know is a very known good playoff pitcher. He's been doing it for the last 3 years. He takes the mound and he just finds a way to get outs without giving up runs. Sometimes it doesn't look the prettiest, but it's something he's very, very good at. Um, and obviously, Juan Duran, while it's been a bit shakier over the last, I'll say, like 3 weeks or so with him closing, I still trust him pretty heavily to be able to get 3 outs when I need to get 3 outs. Both teams, I think, weak parts of their pitching staff is it's with the bridge. The Dodgers bullpen before you get to Sasaki has been like awful. even against the Reds, it was really, really bad. They were giving up base runners every inning. The Reds just couldn't really break through and get the big hit. And the Phillies on the other side, while it's not nearly as bad as what the Dodgers has looked like, it's been shown to have struggled at times. Robertson is not as clean as he looked when he first got here.
A lot of
Kirkland's
postseason experience.
Yeah, Kirkering's been kinda riding the struggle bus for a little while, and we know how much he's struggled in the postseason before. Matt Strom seems to have settled in. Tanner Banks has obviously been very good for them all year. So, I do think the Phillies have that edge. It's just a matter of you gotta make them pay for it, you gotta be able to hit their side of it. They're gonna be healthy with the lineup. Trey's gonna be in there, obviously, which is gonna be great. I'm nervous. I'm excited. I'm nervous. The Dodgers, their offense looked great against the Reds. Even against Hunter Green, who we know is still very good. Granted, he's very young, making his first postseason start on the road in LA. It's a really tough spot to do that in, but they still were able to do a lot of damage.
Well, hey, Cole
Game one's
Hamilton
huge,
got
man.
roughed up in his first postseason start, and the
Right.
following year he was the World Series MVP. So who
Game
knows?
one's huge, man. Game one
That
is
it
is
did
humongous today.
yeah, it felt like when they played that Reds team, it was like when we played the Marlins in the wild card round.
Yeah, it was like a formality.
Right, I agree with that. I'll say this though too: the big thing that's going to in this series, to me, is you got to get the Dodgers to chase their starters out of the game as early as you can. And you saw the Phillies team with their new approach. It feels so long ago, Michael, because baseball's such a long season. The Phillies grind out at bats. They never really grinded out at
Mhm.
bats in previous years. This year, they grind out at bats. And I believe that if the Phillies can grind out at bats and get to the Dodgers bullpen, they can win this series.
Yeah, there's been some really cool articles. If anyone has an athletic subscription, that Matt Gelb and Charlotte Varnes has written the last couple days. Um, one was about the Gelb article was about approach changes for guys like Stott and um,
Marsh.
no uh, Turner, and how they've
Wow.
just been the way they figure some things out, and Turner, a lot of it, his ability to lay off spin, especially from righties, and how that's got him a lot better. His chase rate is the lowest it's been since he won the batting title the year he got traded to the Dodgers, and he won the batting title this year. So maybe there's something there. He's really locked in. And the Phillies, and then the other article was a Schwarber one that was actually really cool, where it's kind of the opposite. He increased his how much he swings at pitches in the strike zone, and obviously we've seen that pay dividends with him, and it hasn't resulted in more strikeouts either. So that's a good sign too, because that was a bit of the worry. But yeah, regardless, really cool articles to see some of the insight into the way some of the
You
guys
just
have
find it
changed their hitting.
interesting.
But
I find it interesting. This is the first postseason I've seen we've entered with Bryce Harper that no one's really spoken about him. Like, oh yeah, Bryce Harper postseason. Like, let's go. Not
no,
like a not
nationally,
in a
nationally, he's getting avoided. Whoever CBS Sports did that, top 25 players in the playoffs, and Andrew Abbott, and uh, some other players that are good, but dude, you didn't have Bryce in the top 25. He's one of the greatest playoff performers in the history of the sport. I think just not having him on there is extremely disrespectful. And it I think he's homering today. I really do. I really, really do.
I agree. I do feel like
He's he's gonna be pissed. He's locked in. They're all very much locked in, which is good.
because it's funny. Like we talk about it. Obviously, the big thing is win it for Wheeler. I know you sent me the tweet the Dodgers put out like wheels up for Philly,
For Philly, yeah.
and you were like looking like I need bulletin board material
Dude, I
to
am
hate this team, and I
yeah.
was like, it's a little weak. I think that's pretty weak.
That's
Like,
not weak. That was intentional.
no, they they
But
they tweeted that out before when they went to Seoul, Korea. Or were they thinking about Zach Wheeler when they were going to Seoul, Korea? They
oh,
tweeted out then.
they know what they're doing, man. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Dodgers are far from
So what
ethical,
you're
for
saying is
sure.
if the Phillies win today, the Phillies admin's going to tweet something like, "Ah, no,"
Gambling on this?
or like like you can bet that we're locked in for game two or
No,
something.
I don't. No, I don't. I do not. What I do think though is that Otani said like he's a little nervous, and it's one of those things. It's like it's very normal to be nervous in the playoffs. I don't think that's like oh raise the sirens, whatever.
Can I ask a question about him saying that? Because I only read it, I didn't hear him say it. Did he say that speaking English, or did he say that through
No,
his
it's all
interpreter?
through the translator. It's
Through
all
the
through the
interpreter? Okay.
yeah. So it's it's one of those things where it's like, is he actually a little nervous? Is it just normal playoff nerves? Is he a human? Or is he like a psycho that he's like lying about being nervous because he's like
Michael, he's the
crazy?
best athlete on the planet.
That's what I'm saying. Like, is he just like making shit up to
This
try to throw us
this
off?
guy's
Like,
doing 18 leg parlays, getting his interpreter thrown in prison. But no, no, Philadelphia fans are what make him scared.
I will say it's kind of gone. It's because it's been time. Beginning of last year, John, he was struggling a little bit when like the whole interpreter thing broke and Ipe got arrested and all that. Like he struggled. Like he was legitimately like going through a bit of a rut when this was happening. And then he broke out of it and he had the great season and all that sort of stuff.
I don't know.
I'm
That's
just saying the
I thought it
fans
was
might
just
start
like
getting the
expectations. He
fans
signs that
might start
even though it's deferred, he still signed an absurdly rich contract.
I'm gonna assume it was more of his friend interpreter situation than the contract. I think there's a chance that the fans start chanting Ipe
Bookie.
at him. And if they start chanting Ipe at him, just talking about this with Nick, he's like, if they start doing that, immediately he's gonna throw like 101 to the backstop. Like it's gonna be like a visible rattle. So I listen, man, I'm nervous. He's great. He shoved against us like a few weeks ago, and I think we know what the games are going to be matched up. We know it's Sanchez Shohei today
I don't know.
on Monday.
Do you really want to taunt their best
Listen.
hitter when
On
he's pitching?
Monday, on Monday, it's going to be Snell and Ranger, and on Wednesday, it's going to be Yamamoto and Luzardo. And then Thursday, the Dodgers actually revealed, which I kind of thought this was going to happen. Game four technically can be your game one starter. Like Christopher Sanchez is going to pitch game four because that's normal rest.
Right.
But with Otani, they do like to give him an extra day because obviously he's hitting. It's a little different. So he's not going to pitch game four. He's going to be slotted in for the potential game five, and they're going to do Glasnow with Kershaw out of the bullpen game four. I think it's very winnable for the Phillies. So I think your path needs to be today. You got to get to Otani early. You cannot let him get settled in. I know like I'd rather than be a little more like you got to grind counts, grind at bats, absolutely. But I think you gotta do that in an aggressive manner, like, more like foul balls situations as opposed to, taking a bunch of pitches, because I think if you start taking stuff and he's pumping 101 on the edges, and it's like, you're gonna be in for a long day. I think your method is to get on him early, grind some at bats, and you try to get him out of the game, but after you do some damage to him for sure. And that can kinda almost rattle the whole team, and I think you can win. I was talking to my other friend Dave, and he said, "Today needs to be like an environment win." It's a raucous crowd, it's a fiery environment. You need to, like, win off the vibes surrounding you. And then game 2 Monday against Blake Snell, who historically pitches excellently against the Phillies as a team, against the Phillies as the players on the team, he's dominated. You need to be patient. You need to be patient with Blake Snell and make him walk a couple guys and grind his pitch count that way to try to get him out by like the fifth and not let him get into a groove where you're chasing everything all the time. If today needs to be an environment win, Monday's best bet is a maturity win. It's knowing the situation, it's knowing the pitcher you're going against, and it's not overthinking and not pressing yourself, or also not saying, "Hey, we won Saturday, like, that's fine. We'll see you out in LA." I really, really, really think that there's a path here to winning both these games at home and setting yourself up to close it out more likely than not on Thursday against Glasnow.
Yeah, I reading this like the stats today. The Dodgers against left-handed starting pitchers this year, not as good as they are against right-handed starting pitchers. So we're going to see. Obviously, they're going to face a healthy diet of lefties from the Phillies, and the Phillies are stacked with lefties as well as we well know.
Mhm.
Listen, man, like we were talking about, like the bats. To me, I think there's going to be a lot of pressure on this pitching staff. I think because I think a lot of people just from the last few postseasons, we all just kind of assumed the pitching would just show up
Yes.
and
Yeah,
the
like,
bats
it's
would just
true.
have to grind. What?
We're like, it's true. It's like, it's all on the bats, we know the pitchers are gonna be great, and it's like, when you don't have Wheeler, that adds a little bit of pressure to
But I
that,
also
like,
don't want to
assumption.
I don't want to like scare everybody, but Otani is the best player on the planet when he's not pitching. The pitching just adds another layer to it, right? We've seen how he is in the postseason.
Right.
Mookie Betts. I know, Michael, you love dumping all over
Listen, he had a great 2 games against the Reds.
Mister Mookie Betts, and he had his illness that ruined his season. I think from a statistical standpoint.
Mhm.
Uh, if he wasn't teammates with Shohei Otani, he would be the best player on this team. You know, it's a fact.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
fact. If he wasn't
He's
teammates with the best athlete on
I
the
mean,
planet,
it's so remarkable to me, like, that he's just been able to seamlessly transition into an elite shortstop. Like, what the f that's so ridiculous to me.
and then you have
Freddie,
people.
don't
So Freddie Freeman, by the way, I hate to remind everybody of this, but
first playoff series in
when
his
we
life against the Phillies.
when we talk about like Philadelphia sports like villains, like guys that
Killers,
torment
the city.
our Philadelphia team, Freddie Freeman, I think, might be of all the ones I've ever seen, he might be the worst. Like,
He's definitely it's like him or Crosby.
yeah, I was about to say Crosby, but it's like what's infuriating is like so like Freddie Freeman's a Hall of Famer. I think is he a first ballot Hall of Famer? Like, no,
Yeah, probably. Is it so
mm,
certain?
no.
I just wanna see some
Like his
some
counting, like he
I
hasn't
wanna see some
compiled.
counting stats. That's what I was
I
about to
think
look
the
at. He's
2020.
got 2,400 hits.
You kind of need like usually it's
He
3,000.
needs what, like 4 he needs what, like 4 more
He
seasons?
he has very much like Mattingly stats, but way more accomplishments than Mattingly, and they won't let Mattingly into the Hall of Fame. So then it's like if you're not going to let Mattingly in the Hall of Fame for having similar numbers, who was a beloved player, by the way. Like it's not like he was a scumbag because they don't let scumbags in the Hall of Fame anymore, Michael. Right?
I mean,
Like
John Mattingly not being in the Hall of Fame is asinine. What the hell am I looking at here?
right, but like you see my point.
Dude,
Like,
what the f
well, yeah, I
anyways,
know.
not to get off
It's
topic, but,
disrespectful to Don Mattingly,
ah,
in my opinion. However,
I mean,
it's
they
not,
tend to
like come
correct
on, like
those
you
mistakes.
feel comfortable, like two men on with two out, Freddie Freeman's up that you're not going to think in the back of your head, oh my god,
Dude,
he's going
no,
to,
I'm gonna be scared. I can't
you know
lie.
what I
Like,
mean?
while the
Like
Phillies have pitched well against the Dodgers, in I would say the last, like, it's honestly since Freddie Freeman, like, got there.
I think we may be in for. I think I think
I
game
think the
two.
games in LA are gonna be high scoring.
I agree. I think yes. I do feel I agree. I do feel though. Listen, man. Like we talk about like legacy. You look at like we talk about like winning for Wheeler. Like, man, you don't think it pisses off Bryce Harper the year he left the Nationals? They win the World Series without him. And that pisses him off. You
It
don't think
should.
like you don't think for Kyle Schwarber it pisses him off to some extent the year the Cubs broke the Billy Goat curse. He was hurt for like 99% of that season. You don't think that pisses him off? You don't think it pisses off
And
like
it's just all the guys, man. All of them have,
Ranger to an extent being this great postseason pitcher and not having anything to show for it? A lot of those
and it's
guys.
like, and knowing that your time here is probably coming to an end. You know, your childhood team you've been connected with since you were 15 years old. Like, yeah, man, I hear you. There's a lot of motivation for this team. They're like there could not be any more motivation. There could not be any more driving forces. There could not be any more galvanizing things that occur. They just got to do it. Like they just have. It's now is the time. It's really like now or never with this core. It needs to happen, and we all, you're gonna have to go through the Dodgers. You're gonna have to go through the Dodgers, and they played them well over the last few years, particularly out in LA, which is always questionable on the West Coast with the Phillies. They're this is not a ton to say other than, like, they just have to do it. The lineup's gotta hit, timely hitting, pitching's gotta continue to be strong like it's been all season, and you need the bullpen to lock it down when it's
So
mattered most.
before we wrap this up, who do you think is going to be the player of the game today?
Christopher Sanchez.
Ooh, okay.
He shoves. He
I'm going to
shoves.
go.
7 innings. Dominant.
You know who? Do you know who's kind of like sticking out to me in my head for some reason?
I feel like it's not a weird one today. That's my vibe. It's
No,
like him or Bryce.
I'm feeling opposite. I feel like it is going to be a weird one. I'm going to say Bryson Stott. He's going to make two great
Scott
defensive
comes through.
plays, and he gets like a go ahead hit. Like they just
9 pitch at battle for
like
Tony.
they grind out like their at bats.
No, I could see it. 5th inning, 2
I'm
runners
assuming
on.
Kepler's starting today against a righty.
That's a loose. Like I agree, but it's not impossible because in the short sample size, Castellanos is like 2 for 3 against Otani, and like he has the great NLDS numbers. There's a chance that he plays over Kepler today. I wouldn't totally rule it out. If I had to guess, I feel like he would probably just go Kepler and go with like keep rocking the platoon. No reason to rock the boat now and get cute thinking about things. But I do think it's not impossible for him to turn to Castellanos in this spot today. We'll see, though. We will see. What we do know is that, like all 3 of the like fringe starters of like Nola Bueller and Taiwan are on the roster. Tim Mesa made the roster. Lou Trevino did not, and they kept the 2 extra bats. Both Otto Kemp and Weston Wilson are on the postseason roster, which that gives you some opportunities. Like that's like some double pinch hitting situation. If Castellanos starts a game and then they bring in a righty out of the bullpen, you can pinch hit for Kepler. And then if there's another situation to pinch hit for with a lefty coming in, you could use, Kemp there, or maybe for Kepler or Marsh, you want to pinch hit, and you can use Sosa to pinch hit for them, but then put in like Otto Kemp or Weston Wilson in the outfield and not feel too bad about it. So it gives them some extra optionality. I think ideally they would have wanted that last spot to go to Rojas, but he's just not healthy right now. So
Agreed.
yeah.
Anyway, that's
We
our
will
show.
see, man. We will see.
Everybody, that's our show. We'll be breaking down. God, Michael, we could be breaking down the first 2 games and then week 5.
We could be doing a lot of things over the next week. We will see how we feel about sports on like Tuesday, because we might not be feeling too good about it, and we might just
Certainly
need to crawl in a
possible.
hole for a week. So
Right.
we will be seeing. We will be seeing. I'm excited, man. I'm nervous. I'm excited. Let's have a day. It's a great day to have
a day. All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your day.
We are part of the Fired Up Sports Network of shows. Please check out other Fired Up Sports Network podcasts like the P-Lot Pod, Water Cooler Talk, Bell Smashers, Philly Sports Love and Pain, Drunk on Broad, Beer Battered Sports, and the Fired Up Sports Show, which are available on all major podcasting hosting sites and social media. Also, check out Mark Ramos' Roundup on firedupsports.com, which breaks down the happenings going on with all your favorite local teams.